I'm going to give you a very real year 1 to year 5 roadmap to your first $100,000 as a pilot, and I'm going to separate what's actually true from what's just marketing. The wrong plan can very easily cost you an extra $50,000 and 2 to 3 years of wasted time that you're definitely not going to get back. In this video, we're using FAA rules, real demand data, and real pay rates so that you can do the math yourself. I'll also show you the exact system that I used to earn over $100,000 before most airline pilots ever do. Now, not because I'm special, but because I understood the business better than most people do. So by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what you should be doing in year 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and more importantly, you'll know the fastest version of the path for your situation. So with that said, let's dive into it. Earnings as a pilot come from your hourly rate times how many hours that you fly, plus a few extra items. Seniority also has a huge impact on your income, and your hire date affects everything that happens after that. For example, 2 pilots at the same company flying the same airplane can end up with very different 5-year incomes because of seniority. So the key to maximizing your lifetime earnings and your quality of life along the way is, you guessed it, seniority. So that means that every day wasted is lost seniority, and that costs you money. The costly mistake is treating training like a part-time hobby. Momentum slows or stops, hours don't accumulate, hire dates are delayed, and you have less, there's that word again, seniority than you otherwise could. The calendar moves and income does not. The roadmap I share in this video will help you to avoid the most common traps that waste time and money, as well as to help you, there's that word again, maximize seniority. All of this only works if decisions before training support speed, which brings us to what actually decides your timeline. Once you understand how income is earned, the question becomes, what determines how fast you get the chance to start generating that income? Well, there's 2 decisions that are going to lock in pretty much your entire timeline. First is your training frequency. Progress does not come just from effort, it comes from repetition. So flying once a week, well, that's going to be extremely expensive because you're going to spend every lesson, or a chunk of every lesson, relearning what you forgot in the lesson you took in the previous week. So flying as often as possible turns training into progress instead of a slow and steady leak on your bank account. Second is choosing a setup that supports that frequency. Now, Part 61 and Part 141 schools both produce qualified pilots, but their path is very, very different. Part 61 is flexible. If you fly often like I did, you can make progress really, really fast. Part 141 is much more structured. However, with all the structure comes delays, canceled flights, stage checks, and scheduling snafus that can really slow you down. So now I want to talk just a tiny little bit about a student of mine by the name of Ben. So he came from a 141 school, he earned his private pilot certificate there, and he came to train with me for instruments. And I asked him, I says, why did you switch from this big name school in my town to training with me? And he said, because every week, 50% of my flights were canceled. It was either due to weather minimums being absurdly low, so they would cancel flights, or because there's so many students flying these limited number of planes all the time, they were going down for maintenance on an unscheduled basis, or there was stage checks, and stage checks were the killer. He says, you can only go up to 5 hours past the certain amount in the syllabus where the stage check is due, and oftentimes he had to wait 2 to 3 weeks to get a stage check instructor, so for 2 or 3 weeks, he was stuck on the ground doing absolutely nothing. Now, not every Part 141 school is exactly the same as the other. Some are definitely better than others, but overall, based upon comments from Ben and many, many other people that have commented on my video, Part 61 is clearly the faster way to go. The sponsor of today's video is Holafly. They've launched the world's first international mobile operator, and it's essentially pilot-proof. So instead of buying a new eSIM for every one of your layovers, you install one single eSIM. It gives you instant coverage in 160 plus destinations with just one flat monthly price. Here's why I think it fits the pilot lifestyle. First of all, there's zero commitment. You can cancel it at any time. There's no contract locking you in. It's always on, so even if you pause your plan, you still get 1 gigabyte of free data every month for emergencies, so you're never left stranded offline.
Both plans include the option to choose a local number from the United States, the UK, or Canada, allowing you to receive SMS messages wherever you are.
And there's a hotspot included so you can share your connections across all of your devices and work without limitation. There's an unlimited plan with unlimited data, unlimited hotspot sharing, and a local number to receive SMS. And there's also a light plan with 25 gigabytes of data and a hotspot available. So whether you're flying local now or international later, this is the kind of peace of mind that belongs in your flight bag. Click the link in the description to find the plan that fits your roster, and be sure to use promo code FLYWITHTRENT, and that's all one word, FLYWITHTRENT. Now let's get back to the video. Before you choose a flight school, you want to get clear answers to at least 5 questions. Question number 1, how long are the waits for check rides? Question number 2, what happens when an airplane goes down for maintenance, and how is maintenance handled in general? Question number 3, what happens if your instructor is unavailable that day? Question number 4, what percentage of flights are typically canceled due to weather at this particular location? And then question number 5, and this is the big one, can the school actually schedule you 4 to 6 days per week with their current student to aircraft ratio? If the answers that you get are vague, the school that you're talking to is not the right one. These 2 decisions, frequency and setup, decide whether all your training is completed in under 6 months or stretched into a year or more. Once training slows down, everything downstream slows down as well. And when it comes to launching your career a little later in life, slow is your biggest enemy. I started flight school on May 4th, 2023. I trained full-time at a Part 61 school, and over 91 days, I earned 7 FAA ratings. So if you think that sounds impossible, consider the math. To get a commercial pilot's license, you need 250 hours. Spread over 90 days, that works out to 2.77 hours per day. Definitely not impossible if you were as focused as I was. The key to my success came from flying every day and then spending literally every spare moment on the ground studying all the theory. That's the golden rule. Speed comes from frequency, not from shortcuts. In year 1, progress comes from flying as often as possible and booking check rides earlier than feels comfortable. Manage training like a project, not just like a hobby. So dates matter, milestones matter, knowing when your next check ride is matters. And if you don't control that, I can pretty much guarantee you're going to experience some amount of delays and frustration, and it can be significant. So you might be wondering, well, hey, Trent, how do I avoid check ride delays? So I'm going to tell you a story. So I had a student that when he called the DPE in my market, the guy said 3 to 4 weeks for the check ride. And my student was like, oh, well, I just don't want to wait that long. So my student decided to make an offer to the DPE. He said, hey, what if I just pay you double? When can I get my check ride? DPE said, we're good, 2 days. So some of you might be thinking, well, I don't want to pay double for a check ride. Well, I don't know that that's necessarily the right way to think about it. Remember, every day that you waste, that's money out of your pocket. So don't make emotional decisions, make business decisions. So in my student's case, paying extra to save 3 weeks was a very sound business decision. Now, here's a quick important side note. Logbook discipline starts from the day you start flying. Small mistakes can turn into really big problems later on in airline interviews, and I break this down in a video that you can watch right here. The most common things that I see slowing students down are infrequent flying, long breaks, bouncing between instructors, or being ready for a check ride and then having to wait 3, 4, 5 weeks to take it. None look necessarily dramatic while they're happening, but in aggregate, they can really add up and cost you a lot of time and a lot of money. I never let any of this happen, and that's why I was able to get the results that I did. So if you need a little bit of help understanding what you should be doing and how you should structure your training and how you should pick a flight school or an instructor, I do have a product on my website called the Guide to Accelerated Flight flight training. It's been purchased by almost 700 people now. They absolutely love it. There will be a link down in the video description and also I think pinned in the first comment where you can learn a little bit more about that particular product if that sounds interesting to you. So in year 2, you get to stop being the customer and start being the pilot that gets paid. So for most people, the most accessible paid job is being an instructor. Now, done correctly, it builds hours and earns you money very quickly. Done poorly, and guess what? It's going to be ramen noodles for 2 years or more. No thanks. I started as an independent CFI in August of 23. Within 30 days, I was fully booked, and I averaged over the next 12 months 100 hours per month, and I earned roughly $11,000 or $12,000 a month. Now, this did not come from luck. It came from putting in the work needed to succeed. And if you think I'm special, remember, I started with 0 social media presence, so I didn't have any special advantage at the beginning. But what happens if you're not a fan of social media? Well, the thing is, you don't actually have to be. And you can still be successful even if you don't want to be on social media. Though if you do have a digital presence, you will be more successful. So let me tell you a quick story. So one of my mentors, a guy by the name of Dave, not a social media guy at all. Not on Instagram, not on the YouTubes, not doing anything. What Dave was really good at was shaking hands. He would go to the airport every day like he was showing up for work. He would wander up and down those hangar rows. He would look for open doors and he would strike up conversations, and he was friendly and he was curious. And eventually, as a result of all of that networking, combined with word of mouth, because he was a very good instructor. He's an airline captain now. He had a very full schedule. So don't be making excuses for yourself thinking, well, I'm not a social media guru like Trent is, so there's no possible way that I could be a successful independent CFI. That's just a limiting belief that you are putting in your head and standing in the way of your own success. Now, this is where the comments usually start about CFI pay being terrible, but that's not the full picture. CFI income comes from controllable variables: how many hours you fly, what you charge per hour, and how many students are in your pipeline. So 2 instructors with identical certificates can have completely different incomes based upon how these things are managed. So in my case, I charge $75 an hour. Nobody ever complained. I billed handshake to handshake, not just Hobbs time. I logged over 1,100 hours of dual given in just 12 months, and that was key to my getting hired as a first officer by the largest regional airline in the US just 20 months after I finished flight school. So that's roughly $100,000 in direct CFI income from instructing alone. But that wasn't all that I earned. I actually had months where my income was as high as $20,000. So if you'd like to learn more about that, you can watch this video right here. Now, let's be honest, it was a lot of work, 11-hour days, and I break this down in why 90% of CFIs stay broke and how not to be one of them, because there is a difference. It's not just effort, it's structure, and you can watch that video by clicking or seeing the video with this thumbnail right here. So the math isn't complicated. 140 to 160 hours a month billed at $75 an hour puts you into a 6-figure income. 25 to 40 hours billed per month won't, no matter how motivated you are. This works when you control 3 things. Your calendar, fly the same days every week and stack lessons so that you don't have gaps in your schedule and gaps in your day. Your student pipeline, you need to maintain a steady flow of students who actually fly regularly and finish. And then number 3, your rules, clear cancellation policies, confirmations, and deposits when needed. Pricing matters, but demand matters more. If you're never booked, raising rates isn't going to save you. If you're always booked, you can charge higher prices and make a lot more money. This is where timelines fall apart. Not from a single failure, but from time quietly leaking away. Stop-start flying destroys proficiency and slows progress. Limited local demand caps hours. Seasonal slowdowns stall your progress. Burnout creeps in without structure. Hiring pauses tempt people to wait instead of staying steady with their training. None feel catastrophic, but together they can add years to your timeline. The counter is boring and effective. Fly as often as possible, ideally not less than 4 times a week. In my case, in most weeks I logged 25 hours of training because I flew twice a day, almost every day. Now, almost no one does what I did, which is why almost no one gets the results that I got. When you make it through this phase, years 4 and 5 start looking really good. So now let's talk about years 4 and 5. This is where everything you've been building actually starts really paying off. By this point, 6 figures becomes extremely realistic. So one path is airlines, where pay is hourly, shaped by work rules and schedules. Income depends on how many hours you're paid for, not just the rate of pay. First officer year 1 pay at most regionals averages about $90 an hour. So if you add an extra couple of trips in a year, you're definitely in 6-figure territory. The other path is non-airline flying, Part 135 and Part 91 as it's called. So basically corporate flying. So income varies by operator, schedules, location, timing, a whole bunch of factors. At one very popular operator, first year pay starts at around $135,000 with per diem and overrides and actual schedules. Some first officers are earning as much as $150,000 to $160,000 in year 1, and you're flying business jets, which is really cool, and you can have better schedules than airlines because the scheduling can be quite a bit different. I break this down in a little bit more detail in a video called How to Get a Job Flying Corporate as a Low-Time Pilot. And if you look at the image that's going to be right above my finger here, there'll also be links down in the description. So choosing between paths comes down to trade-offs. If long-term airline seniority and upgrade upside matters most, the airline route probably fits the best for you. If lifestyle, income potential early on, and quality of life matter more, then you might want to look at Part 135 or Part 91. Now, if you choose the Part 135, Part 91 path, my one caveat for you is expect to turn networking into your new #1 hobby, because that is how you're going to find jobs. All right, so that brings us to the end of the video. So a couple of quick things. Number one, if you are still a CFI or you're thinking of becoming a CFI and you want to be a 6-figure CFI, down in the description and in the comment, there is a link to a product that I have called the 6-Figure CFI Business System. It's the exact breakdown of everything that I did to create my own 6-figure CFI business. Second of all, I'd love to know what you really enjoyed or didn't enjoy about this video. Go ahead and please leave that down in the comments, because I do read every single one of them. And if you haven't clicked like already, I'd love it if you would do that, because it really does help the algorithm. And then finally, so that I can help you, I've got a special favor to ask. If you would go ahead and subscribe to the channel, it really makes a huge difference. This year I'm looking for sponsors so I can start creating some scholarships, and I need the sponsors to put the money in the pot so I can create the scholarships. And what do you think they look at most when they're evaluating the channel as a way to advertise their products and services? The number of subscribers that I have. And then finally, if you'd like to get an email notification of videos that I produce, just go over to flywithtrent.com. On my website, you'll find all sorts of really great resources, plus a way to add yourself to the email list. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this one. Got another one coming for you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.